Hello everybody, welcome to this panel session which is titled Spring Budget Reaction, What the Future Holds for the Short-Term Rentals Operators. With me on the panel today is Stefan Hoffelner from Your Air Host. We've got Carly Houston from the Apart Hotel Revolution and Howard Rubin from HCH Financial Services. So, I'm James Varley, the founder of Holiday Cottage Handbook. We are a free resource for short-term rental hosts and property managers. There's going to be lots of QR codes running through there. You can use that one when it comes back. That will take you through to our competition. If you just put in your details, we'll sign you up for our newsletter. And also you can tick a few things in relation to any mortgages or insurance products that you might need, and Howard and his team can get in touch. Also, when you sign up with that QR code, you'll get access to our newsletter and all our content, which is free across our channels. So we have a podcast, social media channels, and lots of content on there to help hosts and property managers build sustainable businesses. All right then, so we're going to be looking at the spring budget first of all. So Jeremy Hunt recently announced the abolishment of the furnished holiday lettings tax regime. It was just one paragraph in the budget, so we don't really have many details. We don't really know what the government are going to do. But of course, in the sector, a lot of people are worried and concerned about what this might mean. We've actually started a government petition at Holiday Cottage Handbook in association with PASC UK, which is the Professional Association of Self-Caterers, and that's to petition the government to look at this much more carefully and to reverse plans to abolish the furnished holiday lettings tax regime. And if you click on that QR code, you'll be able to sign it. We've already had over 4,000 signatures. We're aiming for 10,000 because once we get to 10,000, we will get a government response. So then, first of all, Stefan, do you want to tell us a little bit about Your Air Host, first of all, and your initial reaction to the spring budget news?
Sure. So Your Air Host is a short-term rental management company. So we manage about 250 properties across the capital on short-term rental platforms, so such as Airbnb, Booking.com, Expedia, kind of all the major platforms. As well, we're sort of corporate reservation specialists, so we have a lot of corporate bookings, which has become a major part of our business since COVID. About the spring budget reaction, I think it's very difficult for anyone, which is probably not the best thing to say sat on a panel, to give advice when nobody knows what the future legislation is going to be in the industry and you know what the final outcome of it is going to be. I would say that a little bit of kind of more regulations and tightening in this field may actually be a very good thing for the industry. The stigmas and the bad side of the industry come sort of connected with the cowboys, if you like, with the Wild West side of it, and a little bit of legislation that increases the standards in the industry might actually be a good thing in the long term.
Yeah, we've talked a little bit about before, haven't we, about having a registration scheme. And I think this is one thing that a lot of people in the industry have spoken about, because if you have a registration scheme, you have data, and then government can use that data to work out what the best route might be for some kind of legislation. And I think the worry now is that they're introducing legislation without knowing what the data is. So what are the main advantages of having that registration scheme, do you think?
Well, I think it'll give the government the information that it's missing at the moment. And when they connect a lot of the dots, I think that they're not really connecting the right dots as such, and they're using kind of the hysteria to inform their decisions as opposed to using real life data. So actually capturing the real life data of what's going on in certain areas will be more useful to help inform their decisions moving forward.
Absolutely. Howard, from a mortgage point of view, what has the reaction been among your clients, and what's the advice been from your side?
The seasoned, serious property investors are quite calm and not reacting just yet. We have to wait and see exactly what is going to be introduced formally, because it's all discussion at the moment. Nothing's been implemented, and certainly in the mortgage world, the lenders aren't reacting either. Everything is as is at the moment. The mooted removal of the mortgage interest relief is moving it into the buy-to-let world. from the holiday let world to the buy-to-let world. The buy-to-let investors have had to deal with Section 24 for 5 years, since George Osborne introduced it, and so we've had a lot of portfolio landlords who have been taking some very good tax advice and legal advice, which we don't give. We're mortgage advisors, but we work closely with the other professionals in those sectors, and then planning their strategies accordingly. But right now, it's keep calm and carry on, and we'll see what happens in the future. But in the meantime, it's still a robust and buoyant sector. Property investment as a whole strategy is very robust. I've been a portfolio landlord for over 20 years. I'm not selling. A lot of my clients aren't selling. In fact, many of them are still buying. So if you run it as a business and you take proper advice, proper strategy analysis, and work out what you want to do with your money as an investment, then you've got so many opportunities and options out there. So it hasn't come as a shock or as a disappointment or as a nasty surprise, the budget announcements, but it's all being factored in with the investor and their team of advisors.
Tell us about the growth of the holiday let mortgage market over the last few years, and also just give us the elevator pitch for HCH Financial Services and what you guys are doing.
Thanks for that. Yeah, I will do. So first of all, the holiday let market and the mortgage side of things has grown enormously over the last few years. When I first started as a mortgage broker just over 31 years ago, there wasn't even, the word buy-to-let wasn't even in existence. So I've seen all of this grow as the years have gone by. And from the lenders that didn't lend to buy-to-let landlords, who never used to lend to holiday let landlords at all, and now we've got a huge panel of mortgage lenders that will lend to holiday let landlords and property investors. And depends on your own investment strategy, whether you own properties in your personal name or your limited company name. That also determines which lenders are out there for you as well, because not everyone lends to a limited company property investor. That's possibly going to change in the way the buy-to-let world changed. So with mortgage interest relief being removed, the only way to still claim the maximum mortgage interest relief benefit is to have your properties under a limited company ownership. And we're seeing that already people are asking us about mortgage lenders who lend to limited companies for holiday let property mortgages as well. But how the market has grown, as I say, a number of years ago, you had to go to a commercial bank, a high street bank, to try and get commercial finance for holiday let properties. And now the mainstream lenders that we can give you access to, because we are independent. Here's my elevator pitch. So between my two FCA authorised companies, we give you access to over 170 lenders, also insurance companies. I mean, that's something I should probably quickly touch on as well. Buy-to-let insurance on a property, or normal residential insurance on a property, if it's a holiday let property, those insurance policies are not valid. You must have the right holiday let insurance policy in place, because it's all about short-term stays rather than your long-term tenancies, and it's a different risk as far as insurance companies are concerned. And that's you just need to make sure that all of your financial safety nets are in place. And because, again, we're independent, we've got over 42 insurance companies on our holiday let panel alone. So we know the places to go to help you to have that safe environment. The holiday let insurance as well, you're going to have cleaners in your property and other staff. So that is deemed as staff. You need public liability in your insurance as well. And you don't get that with normal buy-to-let or residential insurance. So here's my elevator pitch in its summary. Through HCH Financial Services, you are going to have the right advice and strategy planning. We are not salespeople. We don't flog products. I like to think we've been in business a long time because we review our clients on a long-term basis. We work with you over the long term. And some of our clients have got hundreds of properties each, and they've started off from scratch with us. So it's all about a proper service, a proper annual review, and making sure the right solution is in place for your needs.
Fantastic. Let's talk to Carly then from the Apart Hotel Revolution, because your model is not really affected by these tax changes. So tell us what the Apart Hotel Revolution is and how it's a little bit different to regular holiday let or short-term rental investing.
Yeah, so again, we welcome the legislation, and our short stay model is a little bit different. So we're within the Apart Hotels, we're basically operating already within a regulated market. So we're under the sort of planning use class of C1, which is kind of hotels, B&Bs, guest houses, all of that. So we very much operate within that sector. So we'll take like the model that we follow is we'll look for, maybe rundown guest houses. We convert them into a self-service apart hotel model where we're able to sort of add value to the building, increase the number of units, and highly systemize it. So we take a lot of the learnings and a lot of the business model aspects of the Airbnb service accommodation model, but we've done this sort of hybrid where we get all of that and the streamlining and the really lean business model of that, but we're operating within an existing kind of C1 building. So that use class and that model is already regulated. So we already meet very stringent fire safety, all of that kind of stuff. So actually people in the hotel sector have been campaigning for this legislation. And as you said, even, we're not talking about we want everyone that's doing service accommodation to stop doing it, and very much people that we work with are they're not necessarily going to give up their SA businesses, but they just want to diversify, maybe scale it up a bit. So so my background is property development, HMOs, so I've got quite a sizable HMO portfolio. So used to dealing with working with it, with licensing and Article 4 and all those kind of things. And I think any time something comes in that's perceived to be a challenge, it's just about, okay, well, how do we adapt? How do we see this as an opportunity? And as I think the sort of theme here has been, people who are professional, people who are doing this as a business are going to find a way to adapt and do it properly. And obviously some locations are not going to be as affected as others. I mean, I'm based in Brighton, the South Coast, so, this is very much going to be one of the areas where the local council are going to look to place as much restrictions as they can. So, there's going to be some locations that are not going to be that affected, and some, like Brighton, Cornwall, places like that, where they really do want to bring the properties back to the residential market, which, is completely understandable because obviously it's expensive for people to rent, homes. So I really welcome it, but very much it's not about going, people having to give up. I think lots of people were still going to continue to operate in the market. So we've got apart hotel sites in Brighton, and that's the model that we've taken, is getting an existing C1 building, and we're the ability to increase the number of units, increase the value of that building without needing planner permission as well, because we're already in the correct use class. We're just adding more units and bringing in still those systemization elements from the service accommodation market. But yeah, I think it's just about adapting and seeing it as an opportunity rather than a challenge. That's what property investors have been doing for forever. You've been doing it for a long time. It's like, like when they stopped doing same-day remortgages, loads of people just, we just can't do that anymore. It's like you go, okay, well, you just adapt. You find a different way of doing it. And if you're a professional and you've got that entrepreneurial mindset, then you're going to find a way to diversify.
Yeah, very much so. I think professionalisation, that's the important thing here. And we might not like everything that the government wants to do with short-term rentals at the moment, but it does suggest that this sector is becoming more professional. Is that a trend that you've been seeing since you've been operating, Stefan?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the business kind of in its entirety on short-let platforms is based on reviews, and an element of professionalisation behind the operation is definitely going to help kind of increase, the reviews. So we don't have any property within the M25 that has over 10 5-star reviews on each kind of major booking platform that sits under 90% occupancy. And how do you get there from a degree of sort of professionalisation behind the operation? So, I only think it can be a good thing.
And what do you have to do to be professional? What are the things that you need to, when you're starting out as a host or a property manager, what are the boxes that you need to tick to make sure that you're operating at the highest possible standards?
So, I mean, you can take that from sort of a health and safety aspect, just making sure that you tick the right boxes, that you've got your kind of fire safety certificates, all of the boring but very, very important stuff that might be done. And then I think managing that guest journey from the beginning, making sure the experience of the guest is really well looked after from every step. So, creating nice video instructions on how the guest arrives, where he collects his keys from, how he enters the property. You can create the best house manuals in the world, but the second you get a guest from Japan who doesn't read or speak English, those manuals are not worth the paper they're printed on. But everyone's used to watching a 10-second TikTok video now, so something we do for all of our properties is create video instructions of access, of heating, of any kind of quirks of the property. We do those with the landlord, so every landlord will know if they've lived in a property. I don't know, you need to tap the boiler twice on the left and kick it on the right. There's a kind of quirk to every single property, how you open a tricky window or something. If a guest hasn't been given those instructions on how to operate that heating, how to use that boiler, how to open that window, it can become a frustrating experience. But if they've got the information in front of them, presented in a really clear and concise way, that helps kind of increase their journey. And then there's a lot of other things that you can do, to sort of put smiles on faces. That's what we call it. So nice welcome gifts on arrival, bottle of wine, finding information about the guests. And it can be something that's really easy for you to do. So we leave QR codes in the properties. So when the guest comes in and there's a welcome basket and he signs a QR code, that's really easy for you to create personalised messages on the guest. The guest will often send you a message, I'm coming with my family, it's a short stay, we're visiting grandma, whatever it might be in the area. And that personalisation of that guest experience that you can then create very, very easily by just editing a simple message that appears on the front of those QR codes. That journey of that guest coming in, entering the property, he's got a really clear video instruction of where the keys are, how to get in, a personalised message on arrival, welcome gifts for the kids. That's really elevated the experience at a really low cost and very, very easy to repeat and redo without having to go in, change house manuals, change print copies, things like that. So just also makes the operation, makes the apartment feel more professional. So little touches like that are very easy to do. I think really proof is in the pudding. They go a long, long way. And you'll immediately kind of see those in the reviews. Reviews breed more business, so it all goes hand in hand.
Yeah, absolutely. Getting those 5 or 10-star reviews, whichever platform you're on, so important. Howard, then, from a professionalisation point of view, where do you think this might lead in terms of more lenders getting involved in the holiday let space?
Tax is a big thing for a lot of our clients, and so they're really focusing more now than ever before on getting their business properly structured. And property investment is a business. It's not a hobby. It shouldn't just be a passive armchair thing. You have to be active, proactive in running a business. And by bringing in the professional advisors, you're creating more of a professional environment to work within. And the lenders are looking for and getting themselves prepared more for the limited company borrowers and investors as well. So you're running a limited company, and with all the legal obligations that has as well, the HMRC obligations, it's becoming far more professional. It has been in the buy-to-let world since the Section 24 many years ago. So we've seen challenges as well, because a lot of the people that we deal with will come to us having spoken to these get-rich-quick gurus and think that you can just buy a load of property for no money down, and that's not a business. And they're not looking after their tenants. This is the bit that gets me most, because you should be looking after the people that live in your property, whether it's short-term stay or a long-term tenancy. I think this is where the professionalism really should be coming in. You're looking after people, making sure it's a safe environment, professional environment. But the lenders are asking more and more questions about the professionalism of the clients, of the borrowers. They want to see tax returns. They want to see that on the tax returns that the rental income is being disclosed to the HMRC. And we've had the questions from people. We get income from our properties for many years. We haven't actually put it through the books yet, and we will not deal with them. We do sack clients. We are a whiter than white firm. We have to be. We've been in business a long time, and my compliance officers will tell you we've never had one complaint in 31 years. So I'm quite proud of that record. But that's because we do our due diligence up front. We make sure that it's professional across the board. From my team of advisors, I've got a big team of mortgage and insurance advisors that work for me, and we make sure that we do the right diligent initial fact finding to make sure that the borrower, the property owner, is a professional as well, because the lenders outsource the underwriting to us. We have to do a lot of this up front before the mortgage applications get to the banks. So the professionalism is, the level of professionalism has risen enormously over the last few years especially, but we are having some challenges with some people who have tried to cut corners and thought that they could get rich quick by doing certain schemes. So we come across all types of people, and so professionalism isn't across the board just yet, but it is increasing, thankfully.
Because we're getting more and more people interested in holiday lets and investing in holiday lets, are we likely to see more lenders getting involved, do you think? I know we've had a few conversations, a lot of lenders have been thinking about it and they want to increase the number of mortgages that they're offering in this space.
Yeah, absolutely, and not just increasing in the volume of lenders and mortgage products that are available, because of course each lender has its own range of fixed rates and tracker rates and all the different types of portfolio lending and flexible lending. But we've also seen a couple of really quirky lenders who have pulled out of holiday let lending in certain areas as well. You might have heard of the Leeds Building Society, who now will not lend on holiday let mortgage in North Norfolk and North Yorkshire. They're being hounded by the local councils there, who said that the local residents think that these second property owners and holiday home owners are pricing the locals out of the market. So some of the lenders are taking a view, possibly just to keep their brand in line with what public interest, if you like, I don't know. But most of the lenders are increasing the volume of products that they're offering. It's still a buoyant and robust industry, you know, and they want to take advantage of it. They're not, every lender that we deal with is regulated, so we don't deal with what's called the peer-to-peer lenders or the non-regulated lenders. They're all high street banks and specialist lenders. And I mean, some of the lenders out there only work through brokers, and so that's why they pass the underwriting to us to make sure that everything is in order. And because I'm heavily regulated by the Financial Conduct Authority, my career's on the line as well, so we've got to make sure everything is in order. So we are here to help and support and give advice and strategy planning, but we're also here to say no. We're not salespeople. We don't just flog a product. So, you know, we're here to make sure that the lenders who are coming into the market, we give you access to them, and we talk to the lenders all the time. I have lenders, what's called the business development managers, the relationship managers. They come into my offices every single week. So we're on top of the products, the criteria, which changes all the time as well. And yeah, and it's growing all the time. So it's certainly not a detracting report, it's a receding marketplace. It's still very, very strong.
Carly, then going back to professionalisation, so tell us about your educational process and how you make sure that the people who deal with you run really professional operations.
So I think as well, like with our business model and the way that we're like, it's I say we're all very much regulated. You can't not be professional. I mean, already, like, we're already operating in this way, because when we go to get lending, we've got to provide a very robust business plan. We're not going to the buy-to-let lenders that do a bit of short stay, or we're not going, so we can't not be professional in terms of our business model, because we are going to specialist lenders. They want us, like, they want to see, whatever, a 30-page business plan, and they're looking at the background of the people. So we have to teach people how to be professional, because they're just not going to be able to do it. They're not going to be able to get the funding. They're not going to be able to attract investment unless they do that. So we provide all of that training and all of the assets. So we have business plan templates that we give our students that they can adapt to. But we also teach them, it's like, well, you're not, you need to have a certain level of experience, and there's ways of gaining that experience. So you can work with other people, you can, ultimately, they're just not going to get the funding for this kind of project. We're already in the commercial space, so we're working with commercial lenders. Also, we work with private investors, and that's something that I've done from day one, and I do teach people how to do that. But again, you're not going to attract private investment unless you know what you're doing, and unless you're able to demonstrate professionalism, and that also goes with having to show what assets you have, all of that kind of stuff. So everything is very transparent. And in terms of like the tax stuff, obviously, it's commercial building, we're operating in limited companies, and I know we don't know exactly what's going to happen with those tax changes, but because it's commercial buildings, you can claim capital allowances. That's not going to stop in the model that we have. You might be needing to claim it on purchase. You're going to be able to claim it on any works you do. So there's loads of advantages within that, but you cannot do it unless you are professional. So it can't be a get quick rich. We're talking about building a robust business. This is not, it's not a, we're not saying that like, okay, you come in our training, you do our 6-month mastermind and you're going to have an apart hotel in 6 months' time. It's like, no, you come and get all the education, you learn how to do the business model, but the implementation part is going to be, it might take you a year to find the right site, then it might take you 9 months to develop that. And if you're looking like, well, I need to get cash flow within the next 6 months, well, no, this is not the right business model for you. You might want to go out and do some rent to rents or whatever, but that's not what we're teaching people. It's like, and the idea of like just to pick up on, it is a business, and like property investment is a business, but what I strongly believe is that any business that you have, you should be leading it with your values. You should be building a business that's in line with your values and has a clear purpose. So like a values-led and purpose-driven business, you've got to believe in what you're doing. If you're just coming at it going, oh, if someone comes to me and goes, well, I want to do apart hotels because that's going to give me more cash flow. I'm like, that can't be the only reason to do it. So what do you like about the business model? What resonates with you? What's your passion for this business model? If it's literally just about the bottom line, you're not going to make it happen, because if you're not building a business that you believe in, then you're just going to give up, because when it gets difficult. So the more in line you are with your values, you understand what's important to you, and you understand what's that purpose. And I always break it down into like, well, the purpose of a business having like 5 elements to it. And for a business owner to be successful in all areas of their life, they have to have like sort of 5 key components in place. So they have to have passion. You've got to love what you do. You've got to be passionate about your business. The service and value, you've got to be providing an excellent service and value to your customers. That's your guests, or your tenants, if you're doing buy-to-let at HMOs, your investors, if you're working with investors. And then the third one is market opportunity. If there's no market opportunity, it's not a business. So you need to know how to do the research, how to do the market research, how to do the financial assessment. So the market opportunity has got to be there. There's also got to be a financial purpose. Of course, it's got to make money, so you have to have a clear financial purpose, but you've also got to understand what your lifestyle goals are as well. Because if you don't build that in, because, we're not here to create another day job, and that's where the systemization part comes into it. So we teach people how to systemize this business. We don't do the day-to-day. We're not doing the day-to-day. We have the systems in place, but that guest journey is still there because we've got the right software, we've got the right technology, we've got the right automation, we've got the right team, and we've also got the right processes for the team to follow. So it's really important that all of those elements in place, because if you know what your lifestyle is, maybe you want to work 5 days a week in your business, and that's what you love doing, and that's absolutely fine. But you want to know that up front, so that you build your business to actually address all 5 elements of those. So often people will just, if you think about those 5 elements, so often people might just focus on the financial and the lifestyle, and then they're just building, they climb the ladder of success to find that it's leaning against the wrong wall, because all you've focused on is the money and the, or I'm really passionate about this, and yeah, there's a great market opportunity, but I forgot about the fact that I might want to spend some time with my family. So really, if you think about that at the beginning and set it up in the right way, you're going to cover all of those. And that's really, it's not, if someone comes to me and, as I say, I'll tell someone this isn't right for you because I don't think it's for the right reasons. You need to know that it's the business model you want to do. So that's why, like with the training, we offer like just a short, and we've got a space. If you come down to our stand, I didn't bring any flyers with me, but come down to our stand for people in this event, we're offering a free half-day training for people to just come along, learn about the business model, and at the end of that, it's like, is this right for me or not? If it is, if you could go, this is in line with my values, it's what I want to do, then we've got further support. But that's kind of it in a nutshell. But it's all about, but it's not about going, no, I totally agree. It's not about, there's no business that's totally hands off. Like I agree with you in terms of when you go this, what's the term that gets used all the time? Well, yeah, but it's the thingy. what's the like what that takes up no of your time? Anyway, it's the one
hands off.
Well, it's hands off, but there's another term that gets used all the time. It's vanished from my head. You have there's no business you don't have to spend some time on. Yeah. Okay, there's nothing passive. That's it. Passive passive income. That's the word. There's no such thing as totally passive income. I don't agree, but it's like what you want to be doing in your business is working at a strategic level, high level, on the business, not in it, doing the thing that you love to do in your flow and outsourcing all the stuff that you don't want to do. That's it.
So with your training then, the education that you do for your clients, you obviously get people to a stage where they've got this amazing apart hotel, but then how do they run it? And what strategies do you put in place to help them actually get the guests and get the great reviews and have a successful, sustainable business?
So we teach basically the whole end to end. So there's an intensive 6 months, and obviously they're learning it all up front. We're not expecting them to be doing it in the time that we're teaching it. So really the 6 months is an intensive, we give a lot of detail. So we provide them with all of our assets. So we do deal stacking spreadsheets. We give them the business plan templates for the lenders. We give them the forecast templates. We give them all of the stuff they need. We give them the refurbishment templates for the design appendix, for the stuff that you have to give to the builder. And then on the operations side, we teach them how to systemize that business, do the operations. We provide operations manuals, all their SOP templates, all of that kind of stuff. And teach them how to do that, how to put that in place, so they can just go and implement that, get all the systems in place. Of course, they can outsource to third. If you find a really good third-party manager, you might want to do that. But we very much teach them how to do to have that control, but systemize it in such a way that they can have the team in place. But we're doing one. We're doing one at the moment ourselves. This is a conversion of a commercial building, and it's quite far away from us. So actually, part of it we are going to outsource some, and we are. There's a really good operator, so we would consider working with third party, but we'll take control of the bookings and stuff. But the operation side of it, we teach all of that, and then we've got ongoing support as they continue to implement if they need it. It's not not mandatory. People can have that from us as well. So yeah.
Stefan, when people come along and they want to get involved in short-term rentals, maybe they want to make their first investment, what's the best advice that you can share with people who want to get involved in this industry?
Get it right from the beginning. Yeah. Properties that aren't right for the market, we see it all the time. Landlords come and they want to make a lot of money very quickly, and the property's not set up for success from the beginning. When you launch yourself across all the platforms, you want to be ready to take great reviews. The property has to kind of be ready for guests from the beginning. They kind of think, I'll start it, I'll add this when I go on, I'll put this bit on when I go on. I think fundamentally that's the wrong approach. That the properties have got to be ready for success from the beginning, and that's really kind of encompassing all aspects of it. If you're going to do it yourself, making sure that you've got the right systems for guest verification when you're going in. What you don't want is guests that are going to come in and cause you any problems. So what we do is we do a 5-step verification of all our guests. We collect quite a lot of information from the guests so that you're not going to have problems with parties, with incidents coming in. You want the right insurances in place, and then going into making sure that the property appears nice, comfortable, the right linens are on the bed, towels, bath mats, hand towels, going down to that sort of level of detail as well. But really making sure that all the processes are set up from the beginning is going to help run it. Putting things on later on often doesn't work, and will lead to gaps in the offering.
I mean, you're mainly operating in the London area. In terms of location, can you be just about anywhere, and how important is it to get the right location?
It's important. It's not the only factor. There are multiple factors involved in making a successful short-term rental. Location is obviously an important one. Within London, being sort of close to a tube station obviously is a benefit, but it's not the only factor that is. So we have larger townhouses on sort of the outskirts of London that offer parking. They're great for contractors. They're great for different types of bookings. Just understanding what your target market is of that property, and then gearing the property up to attract that market is going to be beneficial, and obviously going to help bring in bookings. If it's a property that's a studio in the centre of London, it's going to attract a different type of clientele than a 4-bedroom house on the outskirts of London. So just identifying what that is and then setting the property up for those guests is obviously going to be a more profitable path than not doing that.
And I've got to ask you about the 90-day limit as well. How challenging is that, and how much would you like to get rid of it?
Well, if I could get rid of it as a business tomorrow, I definitely would. I think there's a lot of value in short-term rental stays when they're done properly. So when you get, parties, events and stuff in an area, that's when buildings, leaseholders in a building will go against it. But if the process is managed properly, so generally we sort of offer five night minimum stays as a sort of a minimum. Our average length of stay is 12.9 nights. So those longer stays are much more common than people think. And when you take shorter stays in a calendar, so if I open my calendar for the next 6 months and I take 1 or 2 night stays with some really high average nightly revenues, it can often be counterintuitive, because when somebody comes along and search for a 6-week stay, you're not going to appear on all of the platforms. So managing the calendars properly is definitely one benefit that you can do. Would I like to get rid of it tomorrow? Absolutely. But there are ways around it. The most profitable periods of the year, the summer, Christmases, you want to be taking shorter stays. Then you want to be giving yourself as much exposure on as many different avenues as possible, and managing the calendars so that they're free for longer stays in quieter periods of the year is the most sort of profitable model. So what we would recommend is using the short-term stays around the peak times of the year, and then filling up the other sides with corporate reservations. Ultimately, that's a very profitable rental model still.
Excellent. Howard, in terms of people starting out in short-term rentals, I guess there are two routes, or others as well, but there might be people who just want to get started. It might be their first property investment, and then there might be others who maybe they've been investing in buy-to-let or HMOs, and they think, oh, this holiday let stuff looks interesting. What advice would you give to those people who may be looking to switch?
The lenders differentiate between what you might call the straightforward property investment and then more complex investment, and they will consider holiday lets as a complex mortgage investment. So for many lenders, unless you've already owned a buy-to-let or an HMO, they won't actually lend to you for a holiday let mortgage. So for the first time holiday let property owners, the market is quite small for the mortgage to arrange a mortgage. But the advice I give is that work with other people, take advice. Common thing here is that as advisors, we want to try and find out as much about you up front as possible before putting you on that journey. So we're going to want to make sure that you've got everything in place, the understanding, the education, the knowledge of what it's like to run an investment property business, and to make sure that the people that stay in your property, they're well looked after, properly looked after. But to give the advice to them, if they have got a head for property investment and they want to do it. I mean, a lot of our first-time landlords, it's because their parents are property investors and they want to get in the market as well. And so there's a lot of history within the family, and maybe family businesses, that they want to take advantage of as well. So it's horses for courses. No one is the same. Mortgage products aren't the same either. So we would also plan the mortgage strategy. And what I mean by that is that, I don't know how many people here have got mortgages, but were you asked at the beginning by your broker if you want to overpay on your mortgage, or at the end of your special offer, do you want to stay with the lender, or if you need to stay with the lender, can they offer you a product switch internally? Because not all lenders offer product switches. Not all lenders allow you to overpay without penalty. Now, there are these flexible features that we have to build into the advice strategy from day one, and we want to make sure that everyone's getting the right advice, whether you're a first-time landlord or seasoned investor. And we've switched many portfolios over because people were sold the wrong product in the first place, and then they come to us and we troubleshoot it. So we know what it's like, because I talk from both sides of the fence. I own properties that I rent out as well, and I want to make sure that, going back to your point about values, and it's a human thing. It's not just cash and investments and returns. You've got to want repeat business as well, and you won't get that if you're not treating your guests, your tenants, right in the first place. And for us and our clients, our property investor mortgage borrowers. So we want to make sure that you get sufficient knowledge to start the journey, and then we work alongside you to make sure that you're on that journey to make it a robust and profitable investment.
Carly, I imagine most people who are looking at the apart hotel revolution are seasoned investors. So potentially, why should seasoned investors, maybe who they've been investing in other types of property, why should they be taking a look at what you guys are doing? What are the advantages?
Well, I think, like, you know, the diversification, it's always good to diversify into different business models. I say I built up quite a sizable, started in buy-to-let, I built up quite a sizable HMO portfolio over the last 10, 12 years. You know, our reason for doing it, so when we started doing this back in 2017, when we did our first apart hotel, you know, a part of that was the diversification and just the creativity of it as well, just that, like, coming back to the values and looking at, and we were really interested in the short stay market, but we actually didn't like the idea of having different apartments all over the city, and we felt that there was legislation coming in. I mean, maybe we were thinking about it a bit too early, but I think it was, the papers were written on it, and then COVID kind of delayed it all. But in any case, we just like this idea of having, like, almost, if you think about it, as like a whole service accommodation portfolio in a single building. So you get scales of economy, you know, you get, you know, you're getting that, the cash flow, and you've got a lot of flexibility in doing that. So I think it works really well for people doing other property models like HMOs, buy-to-lets, to diversify into a different business model, and then people that are already operating in SA. So a lot of our students are really experienced service accommodation operators, but they might be doing it in the rent-to-rent model, or they're just doing it with, like, sort of single buy-to-lets. And one, they might be concerned about the upcoming legislation. Okay, so they're thinking, oh, like, you know, so they want to sort of future-proof their business. And they want to scale it up, you know, so they want to future-proof their existing service accommodation business. They're not necessarily looking to get rid of all their SA units. They'll keep those, but they'll add this on. They want to be getting assets in a different use class, you know, in a slightly different model. So it really works. I mean, yes, I mean, I think that usually there'll be some sort of experience behind, but there are some people that come in that don't have as much experience, but maybe they've got really good business experience, or maybe they've got resources, maybe they've got funds and they want to partner with someone that's got experience. So it's not, I wouldn't say it's exclusively has to be for people that are seasoned, but certainly it's like if someone came and said, literally, I've literally not got anything at all, and I'm working full time and I've got no money, like, okay, that's probably not necessarily right for you. But then, like, I've also had people that go, no, I'm so certain that this is what I want to do. And if they're showing that real passion, it's like, well, you know, I need to make you aware of all these things. And it's like, you know, and then, you know, there's ways of being able to do it, like I say, partnering with people and all of that. But generally, I think some kind of level of experience, diversifying from other property business models, or scaling up that serviced accommodation. For us, it was being able to, you know, we were working in the HMOs, the Article 4 in Brighton, so it was actually challenging to operate in that market. And what was really important to us was we were passionate about the location, and then just that, like I say, that creativity of just doing something different and new was what was exciting to us.
Let's end on some positivity then. So, Stefan, why is this industry so great, and why should people be getting involved?
Well, there's definitely money to be made in it. We take a lot of properties from the long-term rental market, and it's great conversations when you're doing, you know, 10, 15, sometimes 20% more on the rental figures that can be achieved. So it also offers people a lot of flexibility, people that perhaps use a house for a period of time and travel for periods of time. So there's a lot of flexibility in the industry. There's definitely more rental returns that are in the industry as well. So I think those two are the sort of main two benefits of short-term rentals.
Same question to you, Howard. Why should people be getting involved?
Well, it's also mixed use. So you can rent out the holiday home, but you can take advantage of the holiday home yourself as well, can't you? So it's a fun thing to do. I've got one in Norfolk, which I love going and staying in every now and again. It's a beautiful property, and you make money, good money from it. You get the finances right, the underpinning finances. I mean, some of the holiday let mortgages aren't expensive, and we've got some lenders that charge residential mortgage rents for holiday-let mortgages. So again, it's knowing who to go to for offering that sort of thing. And also we know a lender that will allow the property owner unlimited stay in the property as well. So again, it's a commercial mortgage, it's a holiday-let mortgage, not a residential mortgage. But you can take advantage of the property yourself and enjoy that and earn a good yield. So why not?
Carly?
Yeah, I think, obviously with our particular model, I think it's that just that future-proofing of that business. I think there's a real opportunity right now. I think people are going to really start to look at these buildings right now, looking at old rundown guest houses and B&Bs. There's not as many people looking at those kind of properties. I think that's going to change. I think there's going to be a big shift, people looking at these kind of properties. But right now there's less competition for deals in that market, unlike HMOs. But it's but really that it's investing in a commercial building, just that everything that we've talked about, that professionalism with it, and just being able to be creative and have a business that you really believe in and that's going to have longevity. And of course, you have to do all of the, you have to Stefan said earlier, is setting up in the right way from the beginning. But it's like, if you get it right, people think about service accommodation, or you imagine a hotel as like a really noisy business, and it absolutely can be if you don't do it in the right way. And I think almost when people do it one property at a time, it's like, oh, well, it's just the first one, I'll do it all myself. But then they add another one, and it's like, oh, okay, it's the second one, I'll just do that myself. And then it's like, oh, now I'm too busy to systemize it. Now I'm too busy to get the team, and now I'm too busy to find someone to do it for me. So actually, the beauty of doing a huge project in the first instance, you're like, well, I just have to systemize this. I mean, when we did it, no one was teaching this stuff when we did it. So it was a baptism of fire. But the one thing that we knew is that we were not doing the day-to-day. So I think I think my HMO business took about 8 years to systemize that. It took us 5 months to systemize that apart of business. We were so motivated to do it, but now we've got this blueprint, so it's great. But I think it's a really nice market to get into if that's what appeals to you. If it's a business model that appeals, and I think that's the theme, is you've got to want to do it. You've got to believe in that business model as well.
Before we see if anybody's got a question, then Stefan, let everybody know where they can find you and your business.
Sure. So website is always the best. So it's yourairhosts.co.uk.
Howard?
So we are hchfs.com.
Okay, and so the aparthotelrevolution.co.uk, which come down to our stand, and then take advantage of the offer that we've got today, which is a half day with us, free of charge.
Yeah, we're all downstairs and we've all got a stand, so if you want to chat afterwards, please drop down and see us. Anybody got a question that they'd like to ask? Everybody shy? No. All right, I've got one more then. Stefan, what can we do as an industry to communicate better to the media, to politicians, and not always be getting kind of negativity and bad press? What can we do to better promote the values and the advantages that we bring to economies and people and communities?
Yeah, it's a great question, and I think I'd sort of carry on from some of the points that I made before. When problems occur in this industry is when processes haven't been done correctly. So, vetting guests correctly is going to create a much happier environment for everyone within that kind of community. So, you're going to get a problem in a short-term rental if there's a one-night stay on a Friday night and 20 people have checked into it. If proper vetting of that guest has happened, you're not going to get that problem within that community. So I think, exercising a degree of proper vetting, proper procedures and proper processes is going to help the industry, and in turn kind of, help sing its praises.
Howard, how can we make sure that lenders like Leeds Building Society want to actually lend in all locations around the country, for example?
Well, to be honest, James, I don't care what Leeds Building Society do. I don't work for the Leeds, I work for my client, and I will give my client access to the lenders that say yes. They are out on their own at the moment, the Leeds, so I'm not too bothered about them. As I say, I'll give you access to 170 different banks and building societies. of which there are about 34 lenders in the holiday let market, which is a significant amount more than it used to be. And a number of those now lend to limited companies. And again, that was, it wasn't around all those years ago, holiday let limited company propositions. So what can we can't tell Leeds what to do because they're independent commercial entities, so they'll do their own thing anyway. But we're getting the word out about why, the good points in the media about what people should be doing. They should, first of all, trust the mortgage advisor. We're not salespeople. There are some salespeople out there, but a proper professional mortgage advisor is on your side, and we're going to make it best for you for your long-term holiday let proposition.
How can we talk ourselves up better, Carly?
Well, I think if I think about specifically in this sort of apart hotel model, it's about showing that the way that people are travelling is changing, and it has and COVID acted as a catalyst for that. So we were already seeing people using Airbnb, wanting that sort of convenience and the remote check-ins and all of that. But obviously there were still people that wanted that, traditional guest house owner and stuff. And so, but that's completely changed. That like after COVID, that accelerated. People want the contact free, they want the convenience. So really what we're doing is showing how you can do that in a professional way, and that apart hotels are the evolution of the traditional hotel model. I mean, also Brexit, like people, like hotels trying to find staff, trying to they lose money on restaurants, so we're using all of that disused space. We're adapting to the changing market, the way that people are travelling, and we're doing it in a professional way. And so we're showing that the apart hotels are the evolution of your traditional hotel, and also the evolution of service accommodation. But doing it in the right way, but because we're regulated, we're already, we've got to meet the fire safety, and people, we went to see a hotel, there's a lot of dodgy operators in the hotel sector. Okay, there's they just go for the highest occupancy. They just they sell it cheap, highest occupancy. I hope this isn't going off in too much of a tangent, but I think it sort of highlights a lot of what Stefan said as well. We went to see a hotel that we were kind of potentially interested in buying, and it was like, okay, we'd convert this, and we're obviously an unmanned hotel, so the fire regulations for that are in different locations, so we put sprinkler systems and everything, right? Okay, so I said to the guy, and he was going, yeah, we'll do that, and we're going to convert all of this disused space into that. And I said, so you're going to put a sprinkler system in? And he was like, oh no, he said, oh no, the fire damage is way worse than water damage from a sprinkler system. And I was like, what about all the dead people? I was like, if you, it was like, oh yeah, there is that. And it was like, he was just like, oh no, I wouldn't put a sprinkler system in because I'd be worried more about water damage than fire damage. And I was like, okay, well that says it all. So it's really about, we go over and above, because that's the future, okay? Maybe you don't need to put a sprinkler system in, but that's going to change. That is coming in. So what we always look to do, and we do it with our HMOs as well, in terms of what's going to be brought in. Let's go over and above that. So really, I think what we want to show with the apart hotel model is this is the evolution. This is what the market is demanding, and this is how you do it.
Absolutely. That's just about it then for this panel session. Please join us at 2:30 for our next one, with property management solutions, how hosts and managers can take their short-term rentals to the next level. Stefan will be back for that one, along with Alex Karavites from Host Hub, Chris Baxter from Super Control, and Joe Syart from Rental Ready. Also on the screen behind me, make sure you enter our competition. The QR code is there, right on cue. We've got loads of free prizes, bottles of champagne, wine that Howard's clients have brought, a Saracens signed shirt if you're into rugby, loads of other stuff. Please also sign our petition to reverse the government plans to abolish the furnished holiday lettings tax regime. We're hoping to get to 10,000. And make sure you check out holidaycottagehandbook.com. You can sign up for our newsletter, download our ebook, and listen to our podcast. Huge thank you to our guests, Stefan, Howard, and Carly. Thank you.
Thanks.